Hey, how's it going? My name's Clarence. My channel is Alien Meatballs, and this channel is all about board games with a heavy focus on solo board gaming. Today's video is my top 10 games that I play solo that I never hear anybody talk about. And okay, so when I say never, and honestly, some of these I just really never hear anybody talk about. Some of them, I used to hear people talk about maybe when they first came out or hit like a hot point, and other than that, now they're just like really quiet. And I don't really watch TV. Whenever I'm gonna consume media, it's always board game content. So I watch a ton of board game content, and like these games, they just don't get much love, much at all, really. Every now and then, I might, run across a board game channel and they mention it, or maybe see like on Facebook or something someone mentioning it. But and I'm like, oh, cool, they like it too. So what I did is I walked through my collection and just started writing down a list of all the games that I don't really hear people talk about, and then I kind of listed them. I picked out the 10 that I liked the most, and then I listed them in order of what I think has the best chance of somebody else liking them. So they're all fun to me, but I tried to like look at them and think which ones a lot of people will probably like, and which ones, maybe have, for whatever reason, they're different reasons, someone might not like them. And I went in order of that, with number one being, the highest potential to enjoy. But yeah, so as I'm going through this list, if any of these games intrigue you, you want to know more about them, if you want me to like do a deeper dive on any of them, I can't guarantee I will, but let me know in the comments, and I'll put it on my request list so I know what games people are interested in, and maybe I can do a deeper look at it and give more information on it. Because this video is just going to be a quick rundown. I'll do the top 10 list and give a quick breakdown on each of these games, maybe some of my favorite parts. So yeah, with that, let's get going. So my number 10 is Dice Settlers by Board and Dice and designed by David Turksey. So Dice Settlers is cool little game. It's you're basically trying to build up like little village, like develop lands. You'll be exploring through different like tiles, building up your little buildings on these tiles and kind of spreading out. And you're doing it all through dice. So at the beginnings of the rounds, you're going to roll your dice, and they're cool custom dice. And then they'll tell you all of the different like actions or things that you can do. And I love dice games like that because of the fact that you can't do everything that you want to do. It just makes it so fun, because if I can do everything that I want to do, that's less fun for me. So it's I'm already kind of prone to like this kind of game. I like dice games like that. And the solo mode is really good too, and it's done by David Turksey. Actually, this is one of his design games, and he did the solo, of course. And it's done really well. But the reason I have this one as number 10 is because it's a heavy lifting solo, and this is one of his earlier designs, so it's a heavy learn, and there's kind of like this little flow chart that you're going through, so it doesn't bother me. But you're definitely like going on the AI's turn and trying to figure out like, okay, which action they want to do based on like flowchart priorities. Once you get it down, it moves pretty quick, but it definitely doesn't go quick at first. But it works well. You're playing against an AI, and it feels like they're doing their thing, like you're playing against a person. So that sounds fun. I love Dice Settlers. I've ran across a couple other people that love it too, but other than that, like, this one's crickets. I never. This just doesn't get talked about. It's got Micho art, although not a lot of it, but I don't know what's up with that. The box is obviously like his art, and there's some of the like cards inside are, but then some of like the tiles and stuff seem kind of bare. Like maybe he didn't do those, or I don't know. But seems like it had a lot going for it. I don't know why it didn't catch on, but cool game. All right, let's do number 9. Number 9 is Blackout Hong Kong. This is by Spiel and designed by Alexander Pfister. So Blackout, the theme was basically that the board is very dark and it's like you're in these blackouts, and I don't remember if you're trying to like power up certain areas. I think that's what you're trying to do, is get power back on. And so you have a map board where you'll be like placing your cubes and trying to like spread out on this board and cover your bases. But my not bases, but like your you're trying to cover your ground and complete different objectives. Sorry, these games, I haven't played some of these two Dice Sellers and Blackout have been quite a while since I played them. But the most memorable thing to me in Blackout is the card mechanic. It's really fun because on your turns you'll be playing down your cards, and you have this like little player area where you have like columns, and then you're gonna play your different cards into each of these columns, and then you get to like all of your cards have different actions, and then they also have these little colors, so you get to go down in order and like play your different actions. But there's also this like I think set management kind of stuff. There's a reason you're kind of carrying which columns you're also putting your cards in, and then trying to match up these colors, like getting like 2 blues and things like that. And it's so puzzly and so fun, like the puzzle of when and where and how to play those cards. It's really fun. I like it a lot. I wish I could remember it a little bit better. I'm gonna need to play it again, so if anybody wants to see a breakdown on that one, let me know, and I'll definitely refresh and play it, get it back in my memory, and then go over that one. But it also has like a small little campaign, maybe like a 5-game campaign. Alexander Pfister seems to do that in a lot of his games. But just kind of, if you're going to play solo and you're going to play multiple games, might as well do that to connect them up, because it has like a little story, just makes it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, it's a really fun game. And that one I do remember like seeing some other people talk about it like years ago, but I can't remember the last time I've heard anybody talk about it. So that's Blackout Hong Kong by Alexander Pfister. Number 8 is Black Angel. This is by Pearl Games and designed by Sebastian Jardine. I'm sure that's not right, but Black Angel is it's so fun. It's got a lot going on. That's why it's closer to the top of the list, is because it does have a lot going on. Got a lot of moving parts. The parts sync up so well though, but it's a little tough to like learn, and I can see people trying to play this, and if you don't get to that clicking point, probably won't be fun. But if you can get it to click, man, it's so good. So you're on this spaceship, and it's got this cool dice worker mechanic, and so you got these little robots and spaceship. You'll be putting your robots in different areas, doing things on your ship. Then it has this outside space to the game board where you zoom out and you actually see your ship, and it will be flying. And so throughout the game, you're starting at point A, flying to point B. Point B being this planet, like Spec or Spets or something that you're trying to find. Once you get there, the game is over. But so you do stuff on the spaceship, and then you'll be moving the actual spaceship, watching it fly through space, and you'll also be getting these like little robots on their little tiny cute little spaceships, and they actually will fly out of the Black Angel. That's your big ship. They'll fly out and do some exploring out on this like zoomed out map, and that's cool. And then the third like you have this little 3x3 grid of like technology, and so you'll be putting these little tiles into this technology grid, and that's fun too, because like you're sliding them in, and then so you're wanting them to slide into certain like areas, because while you're playing the game, you'll be able to activate like columns or rows and like do your different things in each one. But then you're also wanting to kind of slide those off, and then that gets you like points or something, but it benefits you to slide them off and put them somewhere. So all of these different areas of this game intertwine and sync up just really well. The artwork is by Ian O'Toole, and it's just such a smart game. But when it clicks and all the different areas start meshing up, and you can start actually focusing on your strategy of, I'm gonna do this so I can make that, so I can do this, it gets really good. I highly recommend Black Angel. Number seven. Okay, In Too Deep. This game is one that I don't know if I've ever heard anybody talk about it. It's so good. In Too Deep is by Burnt Island Games, and it's designed by Josh Capel. In Too Deep, it's got these cool minis. It looks like this very action-packed game, but it's very, it's a puzzle. It's cool. So like you have these characters out. You have this map. It's got like these tiles going around kind of in a circular shape, and they're all just like locations. And so you're essentially moving left or right around this like circular board, and all of the characters that are out there, anybody can, like, you don't have your own characters that only you can move. So like when you're playing solo, say I think I usually play with like three. I remember if that's what it says to, if you just said, but say there's like three like hero characters out there, you can control any of them, even if you're playing like multiplayer. Pretty sure like you still control any of them. Maybe now that I'm thinking, I've never played multiplayer, so I guess I could be wrong, but so basically what you're going to be doing is you're trying to accomplish these little puzzles. So there's like these little items that are also out on the board, and there's these little like police drones, there's this guard, there's these walls that are blocking so you can't cross from certain areas. And then say maybe you're going to be trying to get like this blue item A into this location, or like two of these things over in these locations, and you're just trying to get things and move them into certain locations. But it's not as simple as like just you can move two spaces every turn. Like you have to puzzle through and figure out how to move and how to like jump across. You can't move super far distances, so you might need like a certain character to be in a certain space. It's really cool, but the puzzliness is just so fun, and it's not like it's not like a complex puzzle, but it's just, it's a nice puzzle with super themes. So it's not just like an abstract, it's like almost the vibe of an abstract puzzle, but with a lot of theme, I guess, if that makes sense. It definitely feels like thematic. You have these cool little like missions that you're trying to do, like, so it breaks it down for you on these like little cards that have like a little story thematic snippet, and then essentially you're trying to get these certain things in certain locations. And yeah, I like this one. I like it a lot. It's really fun. And then you also have like, so at the end of each round, I'm gonna butcher trying to explain this because it's been a minute, but you're kind of like trying to get certain, I'm gonna call, they're not tracks, but for the sake of explanation, like these certain like tracks, say you have like A, B, C, and D, they're like symbols. You'll be like kind of like putting certain ones and trying to bump them up throughout the game. I'm gonna read that. So like so what you'll be doing is like you have like certain symbols or like tokens, and you're trying to like point those tokens up during the game, putting them onto this like other little board, and then you'll be able to score points, and they kind of like multiply to certain one of those. So just say I'm scoring points and I'm going to get like 3 times the $ symbol. Well, then you're wanting to put all these little $ symbols over there. Well, the AI or other players are also putting symbols in there that they're kind of banking it up, but they're putting some of them upside down. So you don't know exactly what is worth the most, but you know what you're putting in there. And it's just, man, it has this, I could describe that way better, I guess if I was playing the game and broke it down, but this one is super fun, and it just has all these like very thinky ways to go about it. I feel like a lot of people would like this game. I don't know if it didn't get a wide release or what, but it looks good. It's fun to play. It's not too hard. I wouldn't call it a light game, but definitely like medium-ish. But what you're doing, it's good. But yeah, so that's In Too Deep. Highly recommend trying to play that one. If you like any of that, sounds fun. Okay, The next one, my number, what are we on? 6. I should remember to number these so that it's faster at a glance. But my number 6 is Mutants. This is by Lucky Duck Games and designed by Aleph and Cameron. Sorry about that. I wrote myself a note and then the handwriting is horrible. But it's A. Cameron. Mutants is another one that I like. This is one of the ones I really never hear anybody talk about. I did just see somebody the other day mention it, and I was super excited. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Daniel from the other solo, one of the other solo board game channels I watch. I can't remember the name, but other than that, I don't think I've ever seen anybody else talk about this game. But so Mutants is a really cool card game, and it's a deck building, and it's like a boss fighter. So you're gonna pick a boss, and you lay him out, and then it's a card game, trying to basically win against that boss. But on your turns, you have like this little spot, like you play a card, and on your following turns, like those cards will either slide to the left or to the right. And then all of these cards have like little actions on them, and then some of them have actions that they'll do once they slide off. They have like different abilities. Some of the cards like mesh together. They're all mutants, so some of them can actually like breed together and make an advanced mutant. You have this incubator where you can like put monsters in, they can incubate and turn into like advanced mutants, and it's just really fun. And it's I believe it's deck building. I think you're getting like these new, if it's not deck building, then it's just like adjusting your deck, but it does adjust over time because you're getting like these advanced mutants and adding them in. And it's so cool, and it's unique, and it's pretty easy to get into. And then you have different bosses, and you can fight them. It's a really good solo game, and you can fight all these bosses solo. So I got like 2 of the expansions just to have like more enemies to fight against. Really fun, and the artwork is fun. It's a cool game. So Mutants. And the thing about these games too, when they're not super popular, is I don't think it's out of production. So if you can get them, you can probably get them pretty cheap. But yeah, if you're interested at all, I'd be happy to do a deeper look video into it, but also check Lucky Duck's website. They might have a deal going on them. So halfway through, number 5 is the G.I. Joe deck builder. This one's by Renegade Games. It's designed by T.C. Petty 3, or the third. This one is one of the ones I have seen more. It's more of a recent game, and so it gets I see, I follow it, all the expansions that they come out with it, so it's getting supported. So I know people must be playing it because they're still supporting it. I still don't really hear many people talk about it, but I hear this one get talked about more than the other ones. This is a really good deck builder. It does things the way I want a deck builder to be, with the first one being like the market. I love when the market is just it's a deck of cards, and then they all come out. I like that because you just keeps it fresh. You never know what cards you're going to be able to get. Every game's going to be different because you're never going to see all the exact same cards. It's hard for me to get into games like Aeon Trespass, where you have like your 9 market cards. They're just the same. I know you can change them at the beginning of the game, but then like you just already know what you're going to get. That's just less fun for me. I like to not know what's going to come out and get excited and be like, oh my god, like that general just came out, or Snake Eyes just came out, I gotta get that, or look at that bazooka, or whatever. Like, you just get to see all the cool stuff, and that you didn't know if it was going to come out. So in G.I. Joe, you have these missions that you'll be trying to accomplish. So you have this like overall mission card that you'll want to go and like fight and attack, and then you'll be getting like these more like minion cards. I forget the terms, but that will be coming and fighting you. And so you have, when you start, you pick like your main commander guy, like your main G.I. Joe, and that will be your character. And then you have a deck of cards, and this one is a deck builder. And what's neat is you have like your GI Joe, your Joe cards. You'll be collecting more Joes. You'll have like weapons and things, and then you have these vehicles. And so to go out to a mission, you actually have to play a vehicle card, and that vehicle card might let you take like two Joes, or maybe it's a motorcycle, you can just take one Joe, or a big Humvee deal or whatever, and you can take like 4 or 5 Joes. And so you have to play your vehicles, take all your Joes out from that round, and they go, and then you do this mission. Now, when you're doing the missions, you're going to have a certain amount of dice that you can roll based on like the Joes that you took out, and even the vehicles. If you take a vehicle that synergizes correctly with like your Joes and stuff, you might get advantages like re-rolling dice, or rolling more dice. But then you're gonna roll your dice, see how many attacks you get, compare. And so it's this cool combination of deck building, and dice rolling, and it's super fun. And then so your vehicle, once you use it, it's gonna come back, and you gotta get it back out of your deck and put it into can't think what it's called, your hanger. You'll have a hanger where, and you always have one. You have one vehicle that just as soon as you play it comes back to your hanger, so you can always go on a mission any round you want. And if you have the right Joes and you want to go out, you can. But you're going to be getting these much cooler vehicles, and when you go out on a mission with those, and they might give you some cool bonuses, they're going to get put back into your discard pile, and you got to wait till it shuffles back through. And that on its own is a cool mechanic too, like trying to gauge your timing of these correct vehicles to go out and hit these missions. And certain missions are you'll have advantages based on certain Joes. These like little symbols, like maybe this one handles that kind of mission better, like maybe it's in a water mission, just stuff like that. GI Joe deck building game, super fun. It's done really well. And I was really big into GI Joe when I was a kid, so I was super interested in it just from the theme alone. But the game is solid. I think whether as long as you like the idea of like army and fighting and stuff, you don't need to know like the GI Joe characters. I honestly don't remember like most of the characters. I just played with the toys when I was young, and I know Snake Eyes. But this one's really good. It's a good one. They're constantly supporting it. They keep coming out with new expansion cards, and when you pre-order them on their site, they give you like these little cardboard things. So I have like a 3D cardboard hanger. The one that I forgot I need to pre-order it. I made a note to pre-order it, but the next one coming out apparently adds like a campaign into it, so it's going to tie multiple missions together, kind of how like Marvel Champions does it. That's what I'm assuming anyway. And then it looks like its big cardboard thing is like this big plane, and I guess you're building onto it as the different campaign missions go. But it's a really fun one. Highly recommend. Sorry, I'm drinking so much water. My throat is really dry today, and talking is just drying it out faster. So that was GI Joe. So now number 4 is Juicy Fruits. This one's by Deep Print Games and designed by Christian Stewart. Juicy Fruits, I did hear there was actually a point where like a lot of people were talking about it, I think when it first came out, and now where'd it go? No one talks about it anymore. Juicy Fruits is so cool. It's a lighter game with a lot of fun decisions and crunch. And so you have this board, and you have these like little fruit tiles, or like resource tiles. And so say it's my turn, there's like squares, so picture like a little 3x3 grid, right? And then you have tiles that take up one space. So one of my tiles is bananas. If I can, on my turn, I can slide those bananas as far as I want, like one direction, without touching or bumping anything. So in the beginning of the game, if I can slide it 2 squares, I'll get 2 bananas. Well, around the edge of your board, taking up a lot of your spaces, are like all your little boats and stuff. And once you can like collect resources and send those boats out on like contracts or whatever they are, they'll leave, and then you gain more space. So you're trying to fulfill these contracts. Like say maybe you need like 2 bananas and 2 apples, and then you can send them off on this boat and it leaves. So you're getting points and stuff, and you're clearing out space on your tile board. So now I can slide my fruits even further. So I might get a turn where now I can slide it and get like 5 apples or 5 bananas. But then there's this market board where you're going to be buying like different businesses and things to get points and just cool stuff. Well, when you buy these businesses, say I want this really cool business. Well, it's really cool, but it's really big, and I have to put that on my board. So now it's filling my space back up. So you got this like pool give and take, of trying to clear out space so that you can do this cool little sliding puzzle, where you'll be sliding and you got to plan out where you want to slide and what resources and what order, because you don't want to block your grapes if you're going to need the grapes next turn. So you want to get as many bananas as you can, but you also want to leave yourself open to keep making this nice cycle. And then also you're putting businesses out here and blocking yourself, but maybe trying to fill these boat contracts so you can get more space. It's super, super duper cool game. And I haven't played it, I'd say maybe a year ago. So my daughter was probably like 4 years old, and my son could play too. He was older, he was doing just fine, and she was even able to play because the symbology is so good, and she was perfectly capable of understanding, slide this 3 spaces, get 3 of that picture, and then she could easily look at the boats and say, okay, this costs 3 bananas, like, and we would help her a lot, but like those core concepts she could get. So I would just help her and be like, oh, do you want to try to do this one? Look, you almost have that much, try to get those fruits. And so we could play with the whole family, and I'm having a blast. There's still so many decisions to make. So I'm all about finding these games that, like, as a gamer I can play and really get down into and love. And I'm not playing cutthroat, but like I can play it and have fun. And my natural way of making myself not be cutthroat is by making sure I'm helping my kids, paying attention to what they're doing. And it takes the focus. I'm not just like diehard focusing on my own game and like trying to dominate my children, but I play for real. I'm not about just letting them win either. It's all about having fun. And so the point is, aside from my ramble, that the whole family can play, and it's a really good game, and for everybody. And it's cool. It's so unique. Like, I don't think I've seen another game where you're doing like a slider puzzle to collect resources and fill contracts and buy businesses. So Juicy Fruits, gotta check it out. All right, into the top 3. Number 3, this one is Batman Dark Knight Returns. This one's by Cryptozoic, and it's designed by Daryl Andrews. Batman, it didn't come out too long ago. I got the Kickstarter version. I don't know if it's hit retail or if it's going to retail or if it was just Kickstarter, so that could have something to do with why I never really hear anybody talk about it. There might not be a whole lot of copies out there, but it's very unique, cool. It's got some cool stuff going on. So it's got cool minis for all your Batman stuff, and this is based on, I'm not familiar, but I guess it was like the Dark Knight comic series from like a very specific series, and then the game like follows it. So there's like 4 different missions, I think, that you play like a little campaign, and they're connected. And I've actually only played the first scenario. I played the game at least 2, I think 3 times, but I don't play it back to back. So every time I go to play it again, I just end up playing the first mission again, and it's still fun. It's a blast. And I still have 3 more like story things I could play that are giving you new characters to use, new story to go through, new items and stuff. So in this game, you have a map board with all these little circle locations connected by like these little lines, and you can move to the different locations. And one of my favorite thing about this game, it's so cool, is at the beginning of each round, you are going to, so there's an event deck in the game, like a standard event deck where, each turn you're going to flip over an event. It's going to tell you what's going on. But what's so cool is at the beginning of the round, you're going to draw 3 cards. Well, each card has an event on the bottom and an action on the top. You're going to pick 2 of those to go into your action deck for the round, and one of them is going to be going into the event deck. So you're building the event deck. And so you might see this event and you're like, oh my god, I do not want to have to deal with that this round. So I am going to put that in my hand. but maybe the action's not that good. But then you see the card and like the action's awesome. You're like, oh my god, I gotta do that. Like that action seems so cool, so I'm gonna take it. But so you're trying to get really cool actions and also trying to not completely make your events way too horrendously difficult. And that is just one of the coolest things I've seen in a board game. That decision from the beginning of every round, building out your own event deck like that, it's so cool. And then the other really cool thing, so the whole board is like a dry erase board, and you one of the things you can do is you're gonna be able to like add your own trails. So you might get used to being kind of like constrained as you're walking around as Batman from these different locations and feeling like, okay, I got to go this way. Oh man, I got to get over that location. I got to go all the way around. Well, at certain points, you're going to be able to draw trails, and you can connect any two locations you want without like crossing over another trail. So you start to like make these connections. I just picture like I'm throwing my Batwing or shooting my grappling hook or whatever over to this building, and now I can go from here to here and take these shortcuts. And that is when you start to feel like it's so immersive. You start to feel like Batman because you've been feeling constrained, and now you're like cutting across and shooting around, and you are Batmaning that thing up. It is super cool. So yeah, Batman Dark Knight Returns. I hope that's the exact title. I think that's what it is. But man, the game is so cool. I really hope that you can get this one, because I feel bad, recommending it if it's like impossible to get. But nothing's ever impossible. There's always people who don't like the game that you should be able to buy something from. But anyways, like either way, I got to tell you the ones that I love that I never hear people talk about, and this is definitely one of them. I definitely have to tell you about it. So check that one out if it sounds cool to you. Number 2, I love this game. This one I've heard a few people talk about it, not nearly enough and barely ever. My number 2 is Paleo by Hans Im Gluck and designed by Peter Rustemeyer. Paleo is really, it's a card game, a really cool card game, and it's got some like pieces of cardboard, like these cardboard stands for like putting some of the cards and tools in. It's got this little cardboard like graveyard, but essentially it's really a card game. You wouldn't necessarily, those are kind of like overproduced things. They're cool, but you don't need them. And there's a bunch of cardboard tokens. But so what you're gonna do is you have this deck of cards, and on your turn you're gonna flip over, or you're gonna draw 3 of them, not flip them over yet. You just look at the backs of them, and the backs tell you a little bit about what might be on the front of that card, like the terrain you're gonna be going into, things you might find. You're gonna pick one, and then you flip it over to go and encounter that card. Let's say you run into like a little wolf. Well, there's gonna be symbols, so maybe that wolf says there'll be like different actions. Like if you have 2 spear symbols, well, you could attack it, and then maybe you'll get some food, and then you'll discard that wolf to the graveyard. Or if you don't have 2 spear symbols, you can always like avoid the card and like run away or do whatever, and it might cost you extra time. Like you'll have to discard cards, or maybe pay some penalty. But yeah, and then so your deck of cards is essentially like a timer. You have, every time you get through your deck of cards, you're gonna have to pay food to your villagers and do your like that kind of stuff. And so as you're avoiding things, if you can't encounter them, you will be going through that deck faster. Well, the way you have those symbols is you have this little tribe of villagers. So let's say I have a couple villagers over here, and each one has a little spear symbol on them. Yeah, so like when I encounter that wolf, and the wolf needs 2 spears, well, when I look at my villagers, they have 2 spears. Well, I can take over that. I can take out that wolf, hunt them. It'll tell me I get some food or whatever I get, and move on. But so if I have to avoid it, you put that card into the discard pile. So let's say it's like a big woolly mammoth, and it needs like 8 spears, and I just don't have that yet. I'm weak. I just have a small little tribe. Well, it goes into the discard pile, And that deck of cards is like your world. It's the lands that you're in, and so you are going to encounter all of that stuff again. That woolly mammoth will come back. You're gonna run into him again, and but it's really cool because you get this real sense of growth, and so immersive. Because when you start, you're just struggling. You're trying to survive. Little animals are hard. There might even be like these little like logs and stuff, and you can't get to them. You don't have the right tools. One of the things you can do on cards is you can go camping, and you can get these like tool cards, or you do these inventions and invent things that are going to make it easier for you. And then you're going to be getting a bigger tribe, so you'll be finding more tribe members, and you want a big tribe. You really want to get a big tribe. The way I find to win the most is by having a big tribe, and it's tricky. It's not just like get a big tribe and win. You have to feed all of them too, so it's definitely about timing of when to get that tribe and then how to do it. To be able to feed them. But it's cool. It's a really fun game. The stories and like thematicness that it tells like through just this deck of cards is almost amazing. Like it really tells such a cool story, and the cards that are connected. And so the game comes with a bunch of like little mini decks, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then in the rule book it has like these levels basically, and it's going to tell you, okay, play this level, mix A and B. And so you can go through all these different scenarios and try to beat them, and they're kind of themed out together. Super cool game. No idea why. Well, I was gonna say no idea why nobody talks about it more, but I think this game was really hard to get for a while. Even when it like first came out, it was very underproduced. I think like they just had an expansion come out, which I haven't played yet, but I think that this game overall is easier to get now, but it's really good. I love it. Super simple, super thematic, so fun. Now on to number one. Number one is, this game is probably the one that I've heard like the most people talk about, and not a lot. And I can't remember the last time I saw someone talk about it. And usually, like if I'm in like the Facebook groups, like the solo board game groups, like I might see other board gamers talk about it, but barely ever. And I never see content creators like talking about it. It's probably because it's not really a new game, and content creators are often talking about like the new stuff coming out. But just the game is fantastic. Factories, and it's made by Meta Factory Games and designed by Joseph Chin. But fantastic Factories. It's really cool. It's a dice game and card game. You're trying to build out a factory. It's like a dice mitigation and placement game. And so you start off and you have like your one little machine board, and you roll your dice, and you have like a few different options. If you roll like 1 through 3, you can place it here and do this. If you roll 4, 5, or 6, you can place your dice here and do this. But what you'll be doing throughout the game is there's a market, and you'll be buying more cards, like more machine cards to add into your factory, and try to build it out. And then as soon as someone has like 10 machine cards, that'll trigger the end of the game. And the solo is really good too. The solo is kind of just getting these cards added into its deck, and it's a pretty cool timer mechanism. Very simple. But so I really like dice mitigation, like games like this. And I liked Role Player when I first found it, but I liked the mechanics of Role Player. That was the game that like really showed me that mechanic, I thought, and I realized how much I loved it. But I didn't really like the theme, and just the rest of Role Player just wouldn't pull me in. But Fantastic Factories, it's so cool because I guess I like the theme better, and it's just the theme that you're playing in, not just the theme, but the way it works. So I think the main thing that makes it so cool is that as you're buying these machine cards and placing them out in your factory, those machines are adding new ways. Like you can place dice on some of those machines, or they're giving you new ways to mitigate your dice. So you're playing all these new cards into your factory that are letting you mitigate your dice and interact with your machines even more. And that is what just takes this game really to the next level. that's what makes it so much more fun to me. But yeah, so Fantastic Factories, it's really good. Highly recommend it. If yeah, I think it's pretty easy to get a hold of too. So yeah, that's it. This has been my top 10 games that I play solo that I never or rarely hear anybody talk about. So yeah, thanks so much for watching the video today. If you want to see any of these again, like in more depth, just let me know in the comments which ones you'd like to see a more deeper dive breakdown on. And if you like the video, please like it. And if you want to see more of my videos, if you haven't, click the little subscribe button. And other than that, thanks so much for checking out the video, and I will see you next time. Bye.